All right, everybody, welcome to this week's Corn Belt Umpires Association Zoom Lunch Clinic. This will be part 3 of our series on protective equipment. 2 weeks ago, we talked about things to look for in considering mask purchases. Last week, we talked about some preseason preparation stuff, getting in the gym, seeing some pitches. And then umpire uniforms. On a side note, I took a couple of our clinic attendees to a cage session last Wednesday. Fantastic. We had really great feedback from coaches and the teams. Umpires loved it, and there was a lot of good stuff. A lot of rust got knocked off during that clinic. As always, out of respect for everybody, we ask that you stay muted until you have a question. If you do have a question, you're free to chime in at any time. Otherwise, please use the chat feature. Mr. Singheisen is monitoring the chat feed today. If you have any questions about anything that we've talked about in prior clinics, do not hesitate to reach out to Connor or myself. We love talking this stuff, and we are not experts by any means, but if this is a great way to help us, I realize this is more of an equipment and kind of an administrative discussion, and that's kind of what we've had over the last couple of weeks. But we are, when we start doing some more of the rules type stuff, the mechanic stuff, it's a really nice way to keep us in the rule book and making sure that we're staying on top of it. If you ever have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. If you have questions during this, please feel free to drop it in the chat. Otherwise, just feel free to unmute and ask the question. No such thing as there is such a thing as a stupid question. It is the one that you don't ask that comes back to bite you in a game. We do these clinics every week. We want to know what you want to hear about. And this is a shameless plug. Connor and I have a list of topics that we want to talk about. But if we just keep telling you what we think you all need to hear or want to hear, that's not a great method for learning. So if you have ideas, we want to hear about it. There isn't really a set in stone topic for next week yet. Typically, we either will just go based on some directive that we get from the NCAA and tailor it to the high school baseball umpire, or we'll just, I've opened up to a random page in the rule book before and just been like, all right, this is what we're going to talk about this week. So we want to know what you guys want to talk about. We have a bunch of videos we've already done that are on our YouTube channel, but if you want us to cover it again, if you want to talk about force play slider again, runners lane interference again, we're more than willing to do it. Those are complicated rules that we need to make sure that we get right. So let us know if there's something you want us to talk about. Otherwise, we're going to move into our discussion on equipment. This is my disclaimer. There's a vast wealth of umpire knowledge and experience in this chat. I'm not going to speak for Dan or Connor as to how many sets of different brands of shin guards they've tested. I'm on 4. I think I'm on 4. And I'm at 5 or 6 for chest protectors. So I've done a lot personally with equipment. I know what fits me best. If you know me, I'm 6'6". I'm $170 on a good day. I don't fit in equipment the same way as, say, Connor does. He and I went down last week, and he said, "Hey, bring your Cobalt with. I want to try it on." You didn't like how it fit. That's totally fine. But we try stuff on, we look for fit and stuff like that, and we can share that knowledge with everyone. None of this is an endorsement by any means. We don't have the same considerations money wise, or body composition wise that everybody else does. So this is just kind of an overview and a general discussion on equipment. If you have more specific questions, feel free to reach out to Dan, Connor, myself, or just ask the question in this forum. So let's talk about chest protectors first. Connor, Dan, I don't know about your experience personally, but in my experience, I have seen that most people don't wear their chest protector, A, the right way, and B, it's not correctly sized. If you don't know what size your chest protector is, take a tape measure and measure from the top of where your neck would go, basically, all the way down to the bottom. It'll either be 11, 10 and a half, 12, 13, 15, I think there's a 16 and a half somebody's got out there, or 17. Dan, you got something?
I do. If you can wear your chest protector comfortably with a regular shirt underneath it, you've screwed up. You don't have proper protection. I have to use a mock turtleneck, or it's not protecting me enough, because I'm going to turn on my camera here. Hang on a second. The chest protector should sit as flush to your Adam's apple as possible. And you're going to need a shirt that covers up that part of your neck so that it feels comfortable. The closer it is to your Adam's apple, the more that your mask will cover it in a box. When I was in a scissors, I had much more protection because I was leaning over. But a typical chest protector should be almost flush to your Adam's apple, so that if you do have a throat guard, it'll lay on it. You need to have it up tight. And if it's the right size, you have the option with your harness, whether you use the original harness or one that a custom harness you can get from Ray Brownlee. That's the only other one I've seen that works. But the harness should hold it in that position wherever you move. It's going to feel weird when you get it on correctly. If it's down here, if it's moving loosely with your shoulders, it's not protecting you. You're going to need to have it up higher. The old school Douglas Wilson West vest had the advantage of having plates that could be moved. So there wasn't one that would fit Connor and me and say Kirk Rawl, but it would work for a guy from 6'1" to 6'6". It would work for a guy from 5'4" to 6 foot. It would work because you could literally move the Kevlar plates in on and Connor's got one right there. Connor's got a Wilson that does that have flex? Can you move the pads on that one?
I move them, like adjust them. No,
He can adjust the vest. But what that's got is plates that interlap, and you see where it is on his neck. It's got to do that. If it's not sitting at that spot on his neck, and he's going to need a mock under there, because where that thing moves, the shirt's going to come underneath it, and then the vest is going to start touching him directly in the neck. You don't want that. So that's a correctly fitting vest. If yours can't do that, you got the wrong one. Trade with somebody. Get rid of it. And his goes about as low as I'd want mine right there. You can leave that stomach portion open. If you have another flap that goes a little lower, that's just fine. There's nothing, it's not necessary, but it doesn't hurt. I don't like anything impinging me here because that's where I bend and turn. I want to have it right like his is. That's about as good a vest as you can physically purchase right now, I would say.
So one thing as well with the fit that I was talking about, and you saw it a little bit there with Connor's mask or chest protector, excuse me. The ribs were partially exposed. Some people, they like more rib protection. I love rib protection. But I see far too often we got umpires that are wearing a 10-inch chest protector, and that just doesn't sit. I mean, for 10 inches to come down to me, I'm talking being here. That's 10 inches. And so it wouldn't protect me at all because I have multiple ribs exposed. I mean, gut shots hurt. I can't imagine taking one to the ribs. And so my general rule of thumb is I want all of my ribs covered. I'm flipping back and forth between the All-Star Cobalt and the Champion P200. love them both. They fit me really well, lightweight, low profile, and they protect. I took 96 to the shoulder cap in that champion, and it's gonna sting no matter what. It's just where are you comfortable with your protection? Dan talked a lot about collarbone protection. The collarbone, from a biological standpoint, is one of the most fragile bones in the human body. I'm trying to remember the exact number, and somebody can freely correct me, but I want to say it's less than 10 pounds of pressure is all that's necessary to break the collarbone. And so getting collarbone hurts a lot. So having as much protection in the collarbone and your ribs, that's where you want to be protected. I mean, I flex my abs on every pitch. That's just how I do it. I wear a 17-inch. I literally wear the biggest chest protector you can, but that's because I'm 6'6". I am not proportional one bit, and so I need that full 17 inches for my chest protector. My dad is 6 foot and he wears a 15-inch. It's truly what fits your individual body. There's a ton of great resources out there if you're not sure about your chest protector properly fitting. Umpire has this massive library of how to fit a chest protector, how to size a chest protector, and things like that. I would definitely recommend before this season, everybody go check your chest protector. Make sure your collarbone is adequately protected. Make sure your ribs are adequately protected. And if you have questions about a variety of chest protectors, talk to Dan, talk to Connor, talk to myself. We've all worn a lot of different chest protectors. We're all pretty knowledgeable on what's out there. And so we're here to be a resource, especially if you're looking to buy a chest protector.
I just put my number and email in the chat if anybody has questions. I think I've worn 30 in the 25 odd years I've done this. If you can find the shut model, it's incredible. And that thing rolls and flexes, so it fits a lot more body types, a little more affordable. It used to be about 120. I'm not sure what it could be now. They may not make them anymore. You don't even want to know what I just spent on the Carlucci that I bought, but that goes back 50. Yeah, you did 50 years ago. But they've never made a better tech. That's handmade. You simply can't find something better than that. Wilson does have a lot of really good options. Force 3 has a fantastic vest. There really are. From 5 years ago when there was like 2 that would work, now you've got about 15 that are legit options. So there's just no excuse not to have the proper tech.
And remember, just because it well last year doesn't mean it's going to fit you well this year. You lose weight, you gain weight, you put on muscle. It's elastic, it stretches. The more you wear it, the more use you get out of the looser it's going to fit.
The other thing that applies to both chest protectors, shin guards, and even frankly the pads in your mask, the typical padding that we get, the neoprene will die after 4 years. It loses 25% of its viscosity or its bounce back every year. The exceptions to that are memory foam lasts longer, and Team Wendy, if you can run across that lasts, frankly, that's guaranteed forever. That's not going to change. It's not going to lose its ability to protect you. But the typical pads, and the joy now with the Wilson West Vest is they'll sell you a replacement for a very reasonable price. So even if the shell is working perfectly, you might need to change the pads.
There is somebody on this call, I just looked, who has a Wendy retrofit in a West Vest. So
do I.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So this is just to kind of give you an idea. This chest protector here didn't exist 2 years ago. This one's new. This one, literally, this one that's got the new flag on it, this just hit the market like within the last 2 weeks. New. This is that Adams. You're talking about the HDX, Dan? Is it this one here?
Let me look. Correct. Yep.
Okay. This Champion body armor, holy crap, they jacked the price up. Everything's, getting more expensive, but this Champion is the one that I wear. I also have the Cobalt here. Lots of great stuff here. And there's a ton of different retailers that you can go through. I went here because I wanted to just show everybody. If you're on this website, they have a fitting room that will literally show you how to, if I can find chest protectors, it'll explain how to size your chest protector, how to measure it. And then this is honestly, I think, my favorite part of this website here. It gives you all of the options, and it gives you the length. And so, and then they got some options to help with, picking out the right chest protector. So there's a lot of good stuff out there online, and like I said, there's a ton of great websites, and this is by no means an endorsement of Umpa Tire at all. They have a great fitting guide and some great videos to how to buy a chest protector. Another thing that Dan said he talked about was the chest protector harness. If you work with, and I can say this because I worked with Dan, I worked with Connor, and everybody's worked, and vice versa. The three of us, we don't have to adjust our chest protector during the game. That is because we have a great harness on it. And there's a couple really good ones out there. And you can see, and I know Wilson makes a good one, All Star makes a good one, and then Dan was talking about the Ray Brownlee Ump Life harness. I haven't used the Wilson harness, but I've used the other two. They're great. Your chest protector is going to stay, and that's a big thing. It's gonna stay where you put it. And so I would recommend everybody, especially if you're just getting the mesh. I think it's mesh, like the strap type harness. I'm forgetting what the actual term is, but the stock harness on some of the chest protectors really isn't that great, and your chest protector will slide and whatnot. So I would definitely encourage anyone to. I would encourage anybody that is looking at a chest protector, or just in general, to look at upgrading your harness. It's a great way to make sure that your chest protector is in the right spot. Any questions on just chest protectors in general? Comments from Connor, Dan, Larry?
I think you got it.
You get what you pay for.
That's true. It'll last longer. That's right.
Absolutely, I'd agree with that. Chest protectors. I mean, I've had to help umpires at tournaments make sure their chest protector fits right. It's a safety thing. We've talked about what's cheaper, a good chest protector, your insurance deductible. I don't know. You guys do the math on that one. The only other thing I would say with chest protector, don't just try it on for fit. Take your plate shirt and put your shirt on, get fully dressed in it, see how it looks. That's the only other piece of advice I would say with the chest protector is see how it looks when you're fully uniformed.
Has anybody ever done this? Tell the catcher to wear his protector so it's safer.
You're saying
Yeah,
when a catcher's
when
not properly.
he's 20 years old, college kid, and he's still not wearing his protector right.
Oh, I've absolutely helped catchers, Larry. Absolutely. If I see him wearing them low, I'll let him know. It's not coaching. You got to keep him safe so he can keep you safe. And I've become a bit of a Pied Piper for the Team Wendy or the Force 3 mask. If you got the proper window to tell the catcher, there's a downtime, balls kicking around the infield, an overthrown around the horn or some damn thing. Yeah, you can let them know. You got to be low key with it. You don't want the opposing coach to see you and think that you're coaching a defensive player. But I think that conversation is smart to have.
I agree.
It's a safety thing.
Gotta be subtle.
Yeah, you got to keep it subtle. Sure.
So let's talk about shin guards. Within the protective equipment and through some of the conversations that I've had with other umpires, and Dan, Connor, Larry, if you disagree with me, I'm open for the discussion. In my opinion, the shin guards, for me, that's what when I started out, that's where I spent the least amount of money on. I bought a good mask and I bought a good chest protector. And I just went to the local sporting goods store, played again, and I got just a run-of-the-mill pair of catcher shin guards. That's what I started with. There are a ton of options, and I think I'm on 4 or 5 for shin guards that I've used. If you're not working a lot of stuff above the varsity level, I mean, I used catcher shin guards for years. They did a very adequate job. Wilson makes 2 different styles. All-Star just came out with another one, specifically for umpires. Force 3 makes a set of umpire shin guards as well. So there's a lot of options with shin guards out there. Like I said, it's one of those what fits best for you, and what specifically the level of baseball you're doing and things like that. The one caveat, I guess I would say about shin guards, and this is one of my big pet peeves is appearance. That is one of arguably the most important thing that you can control. You can control how you look. I've seen guys that they look flawless, and then I look down at their legs and they have a metatarsal guard hanging out on top of their plate shoes. It just looks tacky. Most shin guards now, at least, will have the ability to take that metatarsal guard off. I put this caveat in there: do this only if you wear plate shoes. And the reason for that is on the plate shoe, there's already a metatarsal guard. And so you have a metatarsal guard that guards that's on the shin guard itself, and then one on the plate shoe as well. I will trust the one on the plate shoe a lot further than the one on the shin guard. So I take mine off. That's the first thing I do before I even size my shin guards to my legs. I take the metatarsal guard off. Looks more professional. But if you don't wear plate shoes, and we'll talk about plate shoes next. And this might be a good segue if Connor, Larry, or Dan don't have anything else to add. But it's
yes.
I'll go for it.
So you're talking about shin guards in general. Definitely cut the metatarsal plate off if you have plate shoes. The other thing that I do that's maybe a little different, or that I notice is a little different because I hear about it, is I put so I had the hook style shin guard latch, which is pretty standard, the metal hook that goes into the D-ring. I put the strap, the connecting piece of the strap on the inside of my leg, which would be backwards, contrary to popular belief. But I do it that way because then my pants don't snag on them. If they're on the outside, I have issues with my pants snagging on those clips and staying up. So it looks goofy. And I discovered that if I flip them around and put the hook on the inside, I don't have that issue. So it's a minor thing, but it works for me. And it helps keep me looking as good as I possibly can, which, if you know me, is pretty damn difficult.
If anybody remembers why you are supposed to do it the other way, it's because the old style catchers pads had like a overshoe buckle. And if you put them on the inside for the catcher, because he wears them on the outside of his uniform, they would catch. That's why it got to be on the outside. So it's really no reason, since you're covering it up with the pants anyway, to be one side or the other. Put it where you think works best for you. And it's probably much easier to snap them, metal or plastic, on the inside, because you can see what you're doing. When you get old like me, you can't get your head over to the outside to see it, so it's everything by feel.
I would add one caveat to that. There is one other thing that happens if you've got the hooks on the inside. If your gait brings your legs pretty close together, you can trip yourself. I've seen it happen, and I've heard stories about it happening with some of the older sets of shin guards. If they stick out at all, even with the pants over it, they can clip together, depending again on your gait. I'll also say, as far as shin guards are concerned, guys can get away with a lot because you rarely get hit there, quite frankly. It doesn't hit you that often. And typically, even an older or a less expensive shin guard can give you most of the protection you need. But I consider this part of my profession. So I've gone on the bell guard. I went online and I spent way too much. But they're low profile, they're light as hell, and I've had them hit with fastballs off, 95 off the inside, and I didn't feel anything. I didn't know it happened. I didn't know that it hit me, other than the sound that it made. So there's a lot of different ideas on this, but depending on your gait, you might want. And the other thing is, the bell guards are made so that when you buckle them on the inside, they don't fit correctly. They ride the wrong way. They actually, it's not a terribly uncomfortable thing, but I found that out the hard way. Even though they're clips, you got to wear them on the outside for them to fit correctly, to sit on your foot correctly. So play with them, but there are reasons to be careful about hooks on the inside. And if you look as bad as Connor, you need all the help you can get.
For some of, we need an R on one and an L on the other.
True.
Call those idiot mittens when you do it for your hands when we were 3 years old.
Idiot mittens, I love it.
The string attached.
All right, we'll move on to shin guard or plate shoes, just in general.
One more thing on shin guards.
Go for it.
Think about that bottom strap. Don't let that be long. Either cut it where you want it and burn the edge, or tape it so it doesn't flap down below your pant leg.
Good thought as well. We'll move on to shoes, and I'm going to do this a little bit out of order from what the slide has, because I think there's very little discussion on these shoes. You got two options, either black on black or black and white. I do not like black on black when I'm out in the field. I am definitely a black and white shoe guy. My favorite umpiring article that I've read all within the last 15 to 20 months was an article, it was on ESPN, about how baseball has found its most unlikely quote unquote sneakerheads in its umpires. There's a lot of umpires that are wearing, I'm not a shoe person, but they're wearing Jordans. Dan's got a sweet pair of Nikes that he wears that I can't find anymore. because I wanted a pair of them. But there's so many different options out there, and really it's up to what feels good, what's comfortable for you. Black on black, black and white. I know at least in South Dakota, and I feel like I can go out on a limb a little bit here and say in most associations, at least for baseball, you can do either black on black or black and white. As far as the shoes, any other thoughts on?
I would strongly recommend guys look at a pair of Hokas, Hoka. They're there's guys in the majors that are wearing them, guys in the minors all over, and a lot of college umpires are wearing them. They're the most comfortable shoes. If you're working 2 base games, you're going to find it's like running on a cloud of pillows. It's unreal. They have them with a white bottom or all black. Either one is they'll work. I agree with what Connor or what Jake is saying. They'll work for almost any group. They run about 130 and they can be a little tough to find, and the sizing's unique. So you want to go into a running store. If there's a shoeless shoes, they've got them. The order doesn't take terribly long if they have to get them for you, but it works out pretty well. I'm a huge fan of the Hokas, and I keep them in the bag along with the Nike. If you can find the Nikes with the lacrosse bottom, that's what Jake's talking about. They do have different versions of them than the one that I've got. The lax bottom is almost like a cleat. It's about a half inch of a rubber grab surface, so it works really well when it's wet. Works great on turf, but even better on dirt and mud.
Jake, I got real quick. Sorry, I'm trying to grab so I can show some stuff.
I guess while you're doing that, I'll just chime in. I wear the Under Armour Turf Trainer 2.0s. I got 2 pairs. I got one for turf. I got one for dirt. Love them. That's what I wear. Go ahead, Connor.
So I've got these, which actually need cleaned because naturally it was muddy this weekend. Let me flip my camera around. So these are actually spikeless golf shoes by Nike, the Air Max 270G, which are pretty impossible to find, especially in 14s. I also have a pair of Hokas. They're the Mach 4s. They're black, a little bit of gray and white, which I love. And then this is what I wore last year. I also wear these for football, but these are Nike lacrosse shoes, and they have nubs on the bottom.
That's it.
For a little bit of traction. And they make Umpire at least used to have the Nike Karachi 2s, I believe is what they are. They are black and white, similar to the ones I just showed you, and they are orange. They have orange nubs on the bottom.
I think you can get the Karachi 2s at Dick's Sporting Goods as well. I've seen them there before. So there's lots of options out there as far as base shoes are concerned. I think the big thing is wear what's comfortable for you. And as long as it's black on black or black and white, I don't think anybody's really gonna complain. Do clean your shoes. My preference of choice is I'll either, if I'm at home, I got a slop sink in my basement. I'll just take a dish brush to the sole and around the edge, and I'll do that. If I'm out in the field between games, I use either water or scrubbing bubbles with the brush as I'm able to. As far as plate shoes are concerned, I'm gonna kind of talk through. There's really 3 plate shoes that you can find today, at least in the States. Dan, if you got a line on a pair of those Mizunos, let me know. But New Balance makes a great plate shoe. If you're a huge fan of the previous version of the New Balance, the version 2460, the Smitty plate shoe, Smitty literally bought the patent rights from New Balance. At least that's my understanding. I love the version 2, and so I'm wearing the Smitties right now. They fit pretty similar, at least in my opinion, to the version 2s. Wasn't a huge fan of the version 3s, but that was just my own personal opinion. The only other, man, here, I'm gonna spotlight. I'm gonna stop sharing here quick so Connor can show you. Those are the Smitties. That's basically they are the New Balance version 2s, just with an S instead of an N. The other brand out there would be 3 and 2 makes a plate shoe. I have never used that plate shoe before. What I will tell you is the toe cap in the Smitty and the New Balance, from things that I've seen in various umpire forums and things like that, are superior to that of the 3 and 2. At least the new ones. If you get an older pair, then the 3 and 2s would be comparable. You got your mid cuts, you got your low cuts. They got the metatarsal guard. I actually know one guy who's a Division I umpire who he wears electrical boots with a metatarsal guard attached to it already. And those are actually steel toe. So you can make plate shoes really out of anything. I would definitely recommend going with steel toe. I mean, the composite toe is fine. I think I got a composite toe in mine, but I don't have the plastic that some other plate shoe brands have. If you're struggling because you have a weird shoe size, here's what I would do. They sell aftermarket metatarsal guards online. I know Boot Barn carries a wide selection of steel-toed shoes. And I'm not talking boots, I'm talking shoes. There's a Reebok makes a steel-toed tennis shoe. And last time I was in Boot Barn, which was a few years ago, they had it in stock. I know especially our female umpires have had a really tough time finding adequate footwear protection. And their choice is usually either the 3 and 2 or they go and make their own. And I know a considerable number of them that have gone and made their own, just taking an aftermarket metatarsal guard and a tennis shoe that is steel-toed, combining the two together, and it provides them, at least in their opinion, the adequate protection that they need. If you don't wear plate shoes, I would strongly consider, if I were you, I would strongly consider that being my next equipment purchase. Getting hit with the ball hurts. No matter, I mean, it doesn't matter how protected you are, it's gonna hurt. But I cannot imagine taking a pitch without plate shoes. It is not comfortable. Fortunately, it's been, knock on wood, it's been a few years since I've taken a solid shot to the foot. But if you look at my plate shoes, they're all beat up and scratched from catcher stepping on me. So it serves two purposes: one, to protect you from baseballs, but two, catchers aren't really paying attention where they're stepping, and I don't want to get stepped on by a cleat. Connor, Dan, Larry, any thoughts, comments?
I always say, if you're gonna spend money, that's where you put most money. You know, for somebody starting out, because your foundation is, you know, if you can't get to plays, you know, you're gonna start in one spot, so you have to move as a plate umpire, and you want to be safe doing it, and that's where you want to put the most of your early money into. You can find a chest protector that's adequate and a mask that's adequate and a good cup, but your plate shoes, that's where you gotta eat. That's if your foot is stopped growing.
Absolutely. I think plate shoes are right up there with a mask in their importance.
You spend a ton of time on your feet. It's really important, and I'm learning that as I go along. As much time as we spend on our feet officiating, it definitely affects our mobility in life and later in life if we don't take care of our feet.
The first thing that I do when I get, there's two things that I do right away when I get a pair of plate shoes. Number one, most plate shoes come with this nice, convenient tab to help you get your shoes on. The first thing I do is that thing goes away. It comes down to appearance. That little cloth tab on the back does nothing more than hang up on my plate pants, and it binds them up, and it doesn't look good. So I get rid of that right away. The second thing that I do is I take whatever inserts are in there and I get rid of them. Connor, go ahead.
Right.
Right, here, let me spotlight you here.
Okay. So one thing I learned last year, which is kind of crazy that it took me 3 years of wearing these, but the New Balance, I don't know if these are V3s or V4s.
They're
Threes. They have this cool little pouch right here that you can tuck your shoelaces into. And that way it keeps them out of the way. They don't hang down from your plate shoes and make you look like a slob. Just found out about those last year at the end of the season of all times. So had them for a year, wore them for a year, and then realized somebody pointed it out to me. So figured I'd pass it along.
Thanks for sharing that, Connor. As I was saying, for me, I get rid of the inserts right away. I put in my own inserts. And as far as that, I mean, that's as subjective as, I mean, what insert to wear, that's as subjective as you can get. I would say just go to a local shoe store, find something that works for you. I mean, I couldn't tell you what insert I have in there. So it's definitely a good thing to have is some inserts in both shoes.
There's
Larry?
a gel pad that you can buy at drugstores or wherever they are. They might have them at the shoe stores too. But that would be a good replacement, a better replacement for your inserts. You can go to one of these foot doctors and ask them what's the best pad too. I've never done that, but I've worn those gel pads and they really are good.
It's important to take care of yourself. I will say, I think, and I realize we got one more slide to kind of talk about. But I think this didn't get covered enough last week. At least for me personally, I think working baseball in the springtime, especially at the college level, I think takes a toll on my body more. I notice that I'm more sore after a college game than a freshman game, and I think that's because of the speed, and there's a lot more movement. I've used inserts to try to help a little bit more. I know if you've worked with me before, it's BioFreeze. I got one of those sticks. That's just what they're called. I know some guys, they carry a collapsible foam roller in their bag. But we got on this topic of kind of longevity of sorts through the shoe conversation. And if you're working 4 nights a week, make sure you're taking care of your body. It's a long season. It's not fun waking up the next day after a 3.5-hour plate and not being able to walk down the stairs. It hurts. Been there. Connor, Dan, Larry, anything?
Yeah, if you want to have a 40-year career or more, you do have to take care of yourself. And some of that, we're not too smart when we're younger, so we do double headers back to back to back to back, and then never take a day off until it's September. you gotta be smarter than some people. Of course, I never had that problem because I was a player until I was in my 40s and an umpire. So there was no chance to take a day off, no matter what, because you played. But
I'm a fan of having two of things if you can, because then you rotate them and you don't beat them up as fast. They tend to last longer. I think a pair of plate shoes, if you have one, you're going to make it about 50 to 55 plate games. Maybe that's a year and a half, depending on how you're working and how long you're on the field. The longer a game takes, the more the shoes take a beating and they don't bounce back as well. The second pair, I just, particularly in the summer, if I'm working a lot, I roll another pair out every other plate game that I've got, so they just last longer. It's easier to keep them clean. It is a huge investment. I get it. You're cutting your game fees into the material, into the equipment, but the more you do that, the better you feel. And your body matters, your legs matter. I'm a fan.
another thing is, it wouldn't be so dumb to have that old pair for muddy days.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to clean it after the mud if you have a good day the next one. So anyway, that's what I did for a while.
Absolutely. It's the equipment that you have, it does more than just protect yourself. It definitely can help with recovery, and things like that. And I don't think we're going to do a full clinic on something like that, but it's something to consider. I mean, I'm in it. I think this is my 14th season. Yeah, I think I'm at 14. And I've noticed over the last 3 or 4 years that there's certain things that people, and I see people that are far older than I am, that they just get done, and then they're not taking care of themselves. And I go to the baseball field to get away from stress. That's what I do. I like being at the baseball field. I want to be at the baseball field as much as I can. So why wouldn't I take care of myself to make sure I can be at the baseball field as much as possible?
I agree.
All right.
The stress
Go ahead, Larry.
is something that is in your life, and you're right. Baseball kind of relieved us from stress, in my opinion, at least me. And some other people didn't feel that way, but I always felt the ballpark was a place to get away from the world. Especially
in today's day and age where we all have our phones in front of us, laptops in front of us. My phone stays in my car, or it stays in the locker room. That is, however long that game takes, that is time that I don't have my phone in front of me, and I'm not accessible. It's great. I don't have to deal with, text messages from a boss, client. I could just get away. I can relax. It's fantastic. For me, it's a mini vacation, but I'm getting paid. As far as other protective equipment goes, this is self-explanatory. It's out there. Wear a cup. Just wear a cup. We talked about tights last week. Forestry makes a pair of tights that actually have a padded thigh insert in them. I would definitely, if that's a concern of yours, that might be a good idea to look into. Arm and wrist protection. There's some stuff out there. I don't know if it's, in my opinion, it's not something that I use. I think that proper plate mechanics and fundamentals should theoretically be sufficient enough to keep you safe, except from that, there's always that one, if anybody knows me, I got my knuckles on my right hand look a little weird because I had a catcher that got crossed up. He was, I don't know what he called, but what we got was a backdoor slider that went right in my hand. And just, properly protecting yourself. It's out there. There's a ton of stuff. As far as, consumer reviews are a great way to help evaluate what specifically is a good option for you. I guess the last thing that I'm gonna add is that with equipment and some other stuff like that, change it out frequently, take care of it. When you're ready to sell it to a newer umpire, we have the South Dakota Umpire Equipment Exchange, I think is what it's called. Conor, correct me if I'm wrong on that. If you're not in that group, let me know. I can certainly get you in there. The other thing that I would add, just kind of from an appearance standpoint, there are great ways to keep your shirt tucked in. There's a flex belt that I know a lot of people use. I personally wear it when I'm on the bases only, because just the way my box stance is, it doesn't quite fit perfectly. Kind of just threw the link to that group in the chat I see. If you're on the plate, there's a great shirt stay out there. And I forget exactly what the name of it is. I know for a fact that Ump Attire sells it. I don't know if any other retailer sells it or not. But basically, it's two clips. It's basically a garter belt for your shirt, but then it clips into your shin guards. I found that to be more comfortable for me personally. I do know a ton of guys that they use the flex belt on the plate, stuff like that. Just a little thing to keep in mind as far as appearance. So, do we have? I see it's 12:56. Do we have any other questions about anything that we've talked about really over the last 3 weeks? Seeing none. Well, we're 1 week away from the South Dakota season starting. We got 1 week left. If you got any questions, feel free to reach out to either Connor or myself. I know Dan's got his contact info in the chat as well. That's what we're here for. Otherwise, have a great start to your season. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you all next week.